Hello and welcome to the Women Today show. Today we're going to be starting a conversation with my two lovely guests here. I'm sure you can all agree, very lovely women that I've got. And they are going to introduce themselves and then we're just going to get into it, just have a bit of a conversation, have a bit of a laugh, and find out what these guys are about. I'm sure you guys can see the display here, amazing display. I'm wearing this and I've got this. So they're going to tell us more about what all of this is about. But for now, it's just going to be a nice, chilled conversation. All right, ladies, over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I will. Nice to meet you. Hello. My name's Barbara Pawson. I'm an ISVA, which is an independent sexual violence advisor. And today I've been invited to tell you a little bit about our services that we offer.
Hi viewers, my name is Lorcadia and I am a trustee and a founder of an organization called Women Today Northeast. Yes, and I will tell you a little bit more about Women Today as we continue in the discussion.
You've heard it yourselves, Women Today and Arch Teeside. Right, I've got to keep that in mind. So I'm just going to ask you guys if you can elaborate a little bit more on what your organizations are about, like what exactly is Women Today, what are you about, and where are you based, all of that. Okay,
so Women Today is an organization that was founded by myself and other ladies. So it's an organization that inspires. It encourages Black African women within the UK, but we're now all over the world. We now have Women Today in South Africa, Women Today in Kenya, as well as Women Today in Zimbabwe. And so the reason Women Today started in the UK was because women like myself, who migrated from Africa to the UK, we were not really aware of some of the services that were available for us as women. And so you understand that as you migrate from a different country and go to a foreign country, you have got no idea where I'm going to find services like the Arch. You know, you provide fantastic services, but again, it's all about how do I know if I'm new in this country, who can direct me to find this service that you provide. So you can have a Black African woman who suffer, maybe for example, sexual violence, but they don't know exactly where to go. So that's where Women Today started. So we are like a bridging between the women and the services that are available within the UK.
Okay, that is interesting.
I know we've done some work before, haven't we, Lorcadia? Previously with Women Today and Arch have collaborated on different things.
Yes.
Which has been absolutely amazing.
Fantastic. I know we've got a really, really good relationship, and I think, again, talking about partnership working, that's exactly what we have been doing as well, to try and let our women know about some of the services that you provide. And I think that's one of the reason why we're also doing this event, to sort of like tell them more about what we have been doing as together in partnership, as well as individual organizations.
I like that you keep talking about letting women know about the services that you guys, for example, provide. I am here, I am clueless as to what services you provide. So would you be able to tell us then what services you actually provide? I
certainly can. As I said, I'm an ISVA, an independent sexual violence advisor, and our agency is really about supporting survivors of rape and sexual abuse. We support men, women and children, so from age 0 to 99 can access the service. We have a few parts to our service. I'm an ISVA. And my role is to support people through the criminal justice process. So if they've reported, or even if they're thinking of reporting to the police, then we can give advice and guidance through the process. We can, if somebody is undecided, they can come to us and talk to us about what they can expect if they do report, for them to make their mind up about what they would like to do. And then we will support through the criminal justice process. We liaise with the police, although we are independent. We're there to give a voice to the client, really, and walk with them through that journey of the criminal justice process. Because if you've never had any dealings with the police before, it's it's scary, isn't it? And if all you've ever seen on your only frame of reference really is about court is what you've seen on
the TV.
EastEnders or Emmerdale or whatever it is, then that is scary, isn't it? Because there's people shouting and people banging, and let me tell you, it's not like that at all. The real life isn't like that at all. So we support through the criminal justice system and letting people know every stage of the way what happens and what their rights are, and giving them that guidance. But we have loads of different pockets to Arch as well. We have a counselling service.
Okay. Yeah.
So again, anybody who's has been affected by rape and sexual abuse, they can.
Can I just interrupt you there?
Yeah, sorry.
So you're talking about like rape and sexual abuse. Is there like a defined level where you can actually then come to you guys and say, I feel like I've been sexually abused, or some things wouldn't even be classed as sexual abuse? Like, how does a person know what level they can then say they can then class this as abuse? Because I imagine there's many women out there who are being abused, or even men, but they don't realize that this is actually sexual abuse. So would you be able to define for us sort of what sexual abuse is in that context?
Well, I think it's for anybody. I mean, it is difficult because of people's perceptions of what things are, and I get that, and we're trying to get the word out there to let people know. We're doing a lot of training. And myth busting as well, because there's people there's a lot out there that people are ignorant of or don't know about, or so we are trying to challenge all that. But if you've been affected, even if you think you have and you're not sure if it's affecting you, then you need to seek that help. So the door is open really for anybody who has been affected or think they may have been, or if it's bothering you, then you need to address it, and we can help across the board really. And that's either if they want to be thinking about reporting, that's fine, come to us. If they need to have some counselling, again, that's fine. The counsellors are for Middlesbrough area only, unfortunately, whereas the ISVAs, we're commissioned by the Police and Crime Commission for the whole of Teeside. So it covers a wide area. We also have child counsellors as well. So they go into schools. We've got 2 ladies at the minute that go into schools in the area, in Teeside more, to support young people who've been abused actually in the schools. And we've also just started a new project which is for parents and caregivers. Because it's, as a parent, if something happens to your child, what do you do? Where do you go?
Where do you go?
So we've started off group work with some parents and caregivers given by our lovely Emma, who's a very highly qualified counsellor. So that's another sort of string to our bow.
Oh, that's good.
Also, I haven't finished yet. I'm on a roll.
I was going to say, when am I going to have my child?
Sorry, Lorcadia.
No, that's fine.
We also have, as part of our ISVA team, and we have about, there's 8 of us, I think, in the ISVA team. We have 2 ladies who sort of are attached to our team who can give advice and support around benefits, or if you're having problems with work, if something's happened to you, sometimes your head's over there and things over here don't get done.
That's true.
So they can help, say, with housing benefits, work, school, college, whatever it may be. It's another sort of string to our bow.
That's good.
So we try and give a holistic approach to everything. So there's practical help, there's help with the criminal justice process, and there's help with your emotions and everything else with the counselling. So we try and cover everything. All bases are covered.
Definitely. So that's really interesting. And obviously, I'm just thinking about this because I come from Africa, where we don't really talk about, things like sexual violence or sexual abuse or anything like that. And obviously you are trying to focus on, the ethnic minority groups.
Yeah.
What are you doing to try and get people to come out and access these services? Because it's one thing to say, yeah, we're letting them know, but then are you actually managing to get these women to come out and say, you know what, I am going through this? Like, so obviously now I'm asking about sort of your collaborations.
Yeah.
What have you done, or what are you doing to try and get women to speak out about abuse in their relationships?
I think, thank you for asking that. And we're trying our best. And I think that's why Women Today does exist, because we are like a bridging gap. So what we do, we sort of like bring organizations like ARCH and say, okay, we got organizations like these ones, and you can access those services. One of the things, you can agree with me that you can take a horse to the river, but you cannot make it drink, and which can be very difficult. But again, there are quite a lot of reasons why maybe some women do not go and access those services, which is something that we've discovered along the way. The number one thing is when it's culture. Culture really plays a very, very big role. You're talking about somebody who grew up in a country where sexual violence, it's a taboo. You don't talk about it, and then you protect your family, so you don't talk about it, so you're quiet, and you can tell your mom or your father, and they actually want you have to be quiet. So you basically suffer in silence, and you can't tell anybody. So it's dealing with a lot of things with women. So it's coming from a point where it's not really about telling them about the services, but it's bigger than that. So it's really trying to deal with the root cause, what causing that person to not access those services. So it could be, like I said, culture. It could be, so you're dealing with something bigger than that. And again, it's organizations like yourselves maybe might not be able to know how do we deal with a Black woman, African women, but again, that's where we come in terms of like working in collaboration together. So it's a number of reasons why, but we continue to do the best that we can through social media and word of mouth, our Zoom sessions and our workshops that we've been doing and that we continue to do.
And I know we were talking, weren't we, about awareness raising as well, like the question you asked earlier about what defines. I think we're going to collaborate on some training for women who, may not know that they've been raped or accept that, they're married so the husband can do what he wants when he wants. Well, that's not the case.
Exactly.
Sex has got to be consensual with both parties agreeing to it.
Yes.
And so that's something that I think we're going to work on in the future, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Lorcadia. Yes, definitely. We did spoke about that. And I think when we're talking about, again, we have women that are so, they find it difficult to come and report because, for example, the husband is the one who came to the UK and maybe the lady, she is under her husband's immigration documents, or the husband is the breadwinner, he's the one who's working. So how does that woman come out? Because she's under that lady. So again, these are some of the challenges that we do face within Women Today again. So it's dealing with quite a lot of things.
So let's say, because she's obviously brought up an interesting, this is what African women basically they experience, where my husband is the breadwinner, and if I report him, I'm not going to have any form of I can't be able to pay my bills and take care of my children and all of that. I imagine you guys get a few cases like that. How then do you deal with that, or how do you support women through that? I'm sorry, I know I'm talking about women a lot because,
to be honest, I haven't come across it yet because, like Lorcadia says, there's a barrier there, and that's the barrier that we're trying to break down. So I suppose it'd be a lot of homework and research to look at that and getting in touch with immigration and talking through with them what the pathways are for the women or what's available to them.
It's fear, like most of our, it's living in fear. We've got women out there that are still living in fear. Like, okay, so if I do report my husband, where am I going to go? I haven't got my family, or he's the only family that I've got, and what's going to happen? Or for example, yes, maybe the council can give me a council house, but what's going to happen? So it's a lot of, it's a big chunk to sort of like remove from a person. But again, I think one of the things like what we've been trying to do and what we are doing now is sort of like to say, look, there's help out there. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to stay in that marriage, you know, if it's not working, or you don't have to, you know, help your daughter, help your sister if they're suffering, because at the end of the day, life is too short, you guys,
definitely.
and we've lost so many people during this COVID, you know, pandemic. And I think, you know, just empowering, I think that's what Women Today is all about, empowering women to say, you know what, you can do this. I'm your sister. I'm gonna hold your hand. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Because it can be really difficult. I think, especially if you're in a foreign land, we call it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose for, you know, some people, when they're coming from a different country, if there's no trust in the police in their own country, coming to a different country, they take that with them, so there's a mistrust of the police.
Yeah, you're speaking to the right lady.
For me, anyway, my personal experience with the police is when I first came here, all I knew about the police was they were able to sort of deport me back to my country. So it was, for me, it was just a blanket of all the police are within the same sort of blanket. Like any person of authority that I'd see, I was so terrified of them. And thanks to Women Today, I remember we had a session where the police came and I was able to sit at the table with a police officer, and from that time, like, sort of my fear of the police sort of went away. I say sort of, because I still have a bit of a fear of police. It's not an overnight thing.
I think we all do, to be fair.
Yeah. So speaking of the police, you might have people that would come to you and they really don't even want to end up maybe being in the court or whatever. How do you help such people? Or they want to remain anonymous? Is that like something that is actually possible? Or they're going to have to, for example, testify and, you know, all of this? Because you were talking about the court, and my idea of the court is where there's a jury and there's like the judge and then there's like witnesses and all of that. So I'm like, I'm in this place, I'm in this situation, I'm terrified of possibly my partner. And here I am, and then I have to go and stand against them in a court, or face again the police that I'm terrified of, and I'm going to have to be asked all these questions again and relive all this emotional trauma that's gone on with this whole sexual abuse thing. So,
and that's where we come in. See, we're the go-between as well. We're there to support you. We're your voice, and we're there for our clients. So it's breaking down again some of those barriers and some of those myths. People, I thought before I started doing this job, if something happened to me, I would ring the police, report it, they go out and arrest that person, and a couple of weeks' time you're being caught. It's not, it doesn't happen like that. It can take a couple of years to get to court. And during that time, our role really is to support you through the process, so the police investigation, and from that the file goes to the Crown Prosecution Service, and they're really the ones who decide whether it's going to court or not. So we support you through that. Then if they decide, yes, they're going to take it to court, then we'll go and have a look around an empty court, what we call a pre-trial visit. So you can see where you're going to be and see where you can stand and everything, and the different ways of giving evidence. So you don't have to go into the courtroom if you don't want.
I'm sure that's really helpful, like loads of people out there.
There is what they call video link. So you can be in the court building or in another building where you sit in front. Have you done FaceTime?
Yeah.
So you sit in front of a TV like that, and there's a little picture of yourself in the corner, and then you'll see on the screen just maybe the judge and the two barristers, and your evidence is given over that TV. And in the courtroom they'll have two big TVs because the jury need to see you give your evidence. I will say as well, you know, if there are stumbling blocks along the way to get to court, it is sometimes hard to get to court because the police do their investigation. If there's not enough evidence, everything is evidence-based. It's not about, you know, whether they believe you or not believe you. It's not about that. They believe you, otherwise they wouldn't be doing the investigation.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
But it comes down to evidence.
Okay.
And sometimes it is hard to get that evidence when it's between two people behind closed doors.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not impossible because people do get to court.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and you know, it's a good thing to do that and report this person who's doing the wrong
Yeah.
to stop him, hopefully, or her from doing it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you know, it is a positive thing to do, even if it doesn't get all the way to court. Still a positive thing to do because it's still on the police database that this
Yeah.
person's done this.
Yeah.
So if somebody else does it,
Yeah.
the name's already there for the
Okay.
similar offence.
And I think I was going to ask, like, you know, obviously, you know, during this lockdown, there's quite a lot of people who have been like indoors together with their husband or partners a lot. Within Women Today, we discover that a lot of like maybe domestic abuse has been happening a lot. You know, people have been like self-isolation and like loneliness has been like a biggest challenge during this COVID pandemic. Do you think that's a similar thing with the sexual violence?
I think so. We've had, I think we've had a real increase last month.
Wow.
There was 40 plus referrals came in last month, and excuse me, they're still coming in now for this month quite steadily.
Wow.
I mean, we work with approximately 300 plus people just for our ISVA service.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, we are busy. People are coming forward, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good thing, but it's also very sad.
It's very sad. I know it's a double-edged sword, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's sad that people have suffered in this way, but good that they're coming forward and reporting that.
Oh, that's good.
Right, so if I wanted to come forward and report, how would I do that? Because like I said, this is my first time hearing about you guys, and then there's someone out there who's probably never heard about yous and does not know that there's services like this available. So how would I go about getting in touch with yous?
We have a website, so you can have a look at that at Arch Teeside.
Okay.
If you put Arch into your ARCH into your browser, and then we'll come up on that, and it can give you loads of information on there.
Okay.
If you're not sure about going on the internet, or you haven't, that's fine. You can ring us. I'm not very computer savvy. You can ring us on 01642 822 331 and ask to speak to somebody, whether that's a counsellor or an ISVA. And you can actually do a referral online, or if you've reported to the police, what happens is you will go, once you've reported, somebody will come out and see you, and then they'll ask you to go to the SARC in Middlesbrough, the Sexual Assault Referral Centre. And there you will do a video. So, have you seen in the shopping malls where they have those like circle cameras in the ceiling? So you sit in a room with one of those, and the police officer will talk to you, and that's recording your evidence.
Okay.
So when you do go to court, that's what's played, so you don't have to say it all again.
Right.
You still have to be questioned, but you don't have to go through everything that you've said to the police again. So that gets played. And so when they go to the SARC, normally we get a referral that way as well.
Okay.
But on the website, you can do a self-referral,
Okay.
or another agency, say Women Today, could refer you in as well.
Okay. And how about, say, I feel like my sister, because you guys are talking about being your sister's keeper, and I feel like my sister's going through this but is not able to actually report herself. Can I then, report on her behalf, like refer? What happens in that instance?
She would need to do it herself, really, because it's about her. You can't. I mean, you can point her in the right direction to get services to help.
Yeah.
And maybe asking her to ring us and talk to us about things. That would be fine. But you can't really report it
On someone
else.
else's
because she's got to be able to give that evidence herself.
And that is really, I'm sure.
But we can support. If you point her in our direction, we can support her.
Is there.
Yeah.
The support is definitely there.
Yeah.
And you're right, because I think, you know, if somebody feels supported, if you have got somebody or sister who's like, you know what, like what we do with women today, you're like, come on, my sister. The idea is to encourage that person. You can only encourage them and say, look, I'm going to support you. I'm going to be there for you. Like, it's going to be okay. I think it's all about trust. If a person knows that I've got a sister, a genuine sister, who's going to be there for me no matter what, and I think that you empower them to go and report, and by doing that, you know, you're freeing them and, you know, helping somebody else.
And information is, you know, such a good thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you don't know and you've only watched Emmerdale or EastEnders,
Yeah.
then that's still scary.
Yes.
But information gives you that confidence to be able to go and do something.
Yes. Yes.
I think. And so, you know, the person doesn't have to have reported. They can just ring us for advice. And we can talk them through the process beforehand, and then they've got that information to make their choices, what they want to do.
Yeah, I must admit, like even the first time I came to your organization and working with all the ladies from Archie, everybody's welcoming, and I think sometimes that's one thing we had to share with our ladies, to say, look, it's fear. So it's like, these guys are welcoming, you know what, if you go there, they're there to support you, they're not there to judge you, because that's one thing people just tend to think. If I go there, if I share my story, if I share what's happening to me, I'm going to be judged, I'm going to feel so much ashamed. And I think it's trying to get rid of those things. And by so doing, and to be honest, people will be...
I mean, we're there totally for the clients. That's what, you know, we want people not to be suffering on their own.
Yes.
We want people to come to us so we can give them that support.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, you know, that's what we're all here for, really.
Wow, that's good. I was about to say amen to that.
Oh wow! I think I just have one more question, because I'm just, maybe it's because basing on, because she's mentioned domestic violence and sort of lockdown, and I'm more focused really on, say, the person who's you know, doing this to you is your partner. So is there, like, where we know if with domestic violence they can either remove you from that family, they can remove you from the individual, you know, like she said, give you somewhere else to stay. Would it be the same if you were to report, like, sort of sexual abuse, or you'd still have to stay with that same person throughout the whole system? Like you've said, it can take 2 years to get to court. Am I going to be like 2 years on the same person?
No. There's a crossover, really, with sexual violence and domestic violence. So although if there's domestic violence, obviously sexual violence is part of domestic violence if it's with a partner. We would work with domestic violence services as well in partnership.
Okay.
So we would deal with the sexual violence bit, but would engage them to deal with the domestic violence part of it, which is, you know, not being able to stay in the same house with this person who's abusing you.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd work hand in hand like we're going to do with women today to get the best for that client.
Yeah. Because I'm sure, like, people would be terrified of, you know, just the prospect of being in the same sort of environment after you've reported this person. You think they're going to come at me and it's going to be worse than before.
No.
So it's good to know that, obviously, you would sort of...
And if they do report, they have... when they've spoken to the person who has been the abuser, the police will say that they're not allowed to contact them in any way.
Okay.
So if the abuser still tries to contact or comes round to the house, then you'd ring 999 if they came to the house and started, you know, kicking off. But if they continue to try and contact either by phone or WhatsApp or social media in any way, the police need to know that, because it's intimidation of a witness, and they can't do that.
Okay.
So they would get themselves into trouble. I will say as well, because a lot of people's fears are that, you know, if they do report and then they have to go to court, do I have to pay for everything? No, you don't. Once the CPS decide to take your case to court, you become a witness in the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service's case. So nothing goes in your name. You've got anonymity.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes in the perpetrator's name or the alleged perpetrator's name. Yeah. So even if, you know, you see things in the papers, don't you? About what's gone on, but they will never give the name of the witness. they can use his name or, you know, but they can't identify the witness in any way. So, you know, I think that's a bit reassuring because people think the name's going to be plastered all over. Everybody's going to see it.
This is what you were talking about, where you start thinking, oh, people can see this, people know what I've been through. So I think this is a very interesting conversation.
And I think you're right, it's fear. Because like most people, they don't even know what we're talking about, like what you're saying now.
And obviously for you guys, having heard all of this, what is it that now you can actually say to a sister who's out there listening and just thinking, oh my days, now how do I approach women today? Where do I find women today? Because I feel like I want to get to Arch, but I don't quite know how to get to them. But I find women today is a little bit closer to home because, like you said, culture plays an important role in all of this.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's going to be difficult for me to go to someone who doesn't understand the culture in which I'm from. So I might be able to relate to you a little bit more because we're sort of from the same background, so to say. So what is it that you guys can then say to people? You know, where can we find women today? If I need this, and I'm desperate to get in touch with these guys.
We are all over, but I think the easiest, which is where you can find our details, is going to be on Facebook. So we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are all over all these social media platforms. We also have our Women Today website as well, which is www.womentoday.ne.co.uk. Our office is based in Middlesbrough, Northampton, but then and our telephone number is 01642 954 527. And you know, you can still send a message on Women Today Facebook. I would get back to you definitely. We're just all over the place, and I think like what you have said, culture plays a very big role because we are all from Black African women, like all the founders and trustees and are from women from Africa or migrated. So we understand what a person is going through. So you come to us and say, look, sister, this is what I'm going through. We are in a place that we can totally understand and relate with you, because before we were here, at some point, we were in a very fearful place. And I must admit, we're still learning. For us, it's a journey. We don't know everything, but we know something, that we're in a place that we can actually advise on something. And then when you come to us, then we're in a place to refer you now to Archie, where we not only do we work with Archie, we work with different women's organizations. So anything that you feel like I need to know about this, contact us, and we'll surely signpost you to the best place we can. We'll do our best. Yes. We do our best.
That is really amazing. You said your offices are based in Middlesbrough.
Yes.
Would you be able to tell us where? Because maybe I'm not tech savvy. I don't really, you know, internet is not my kind of thing. And can I just walk in basically and just say, well, this is my case? Or you don't allow that?
No, I think more so because of COVID. You've got to be looking at how many people are in the building. But no, you'd have to ring up first and speak to somebody. Really. We've got leaflets that I'll obviously leave some of these with Lorcadia. And they've got our address on the back and
we'll give you ours as well.
Yeah, I've still got one of yours on my wall.
How are you doing?
So feel free to give these out. It's got all the details, contact details on there as well. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I think we can all agree that was a very interesting and very intense conversation. I know there was a lot of laughter, a lot of but it's been very interesting and very intense. Right, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so interesting. But before we go, I'm just going to ask Barbara if she's got anything else to add from everything that we've just said.
I think this is absolutely amazing what you're doing here, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure and I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
And Lorcadia.
Oh, well, I really, really enjoyed this one. It was really, really good. I think because for us, Women Today, our slogan is to power to change, and like what we've discussed, I think an empowered woman will be able to empower another woman. And I think what we have done here is we've actually empowered other women that are going to listen to this, and they're going to be in a position to say, well, I now know about women today, I now know about Archie, so I'm going to get some help and I'm going to get in touch with them. So it has been intense, like you mentioned, but really, really mind-blowing. And like they always say, you never stop to learn. So it's been learning curve for me today. So thank you again, Barbara.
Every day is a school day.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, there you have it, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us. And you know what? We're going to be doing this again. We're going to have different conversations with different organizations, bringing them all in the comfort of your home so that you know where to reach out to. There's help available if you need any help. Don't be afraid. It's not plastered on your forehead. That is my favorite statement today. It is absolutely not plastered on your forehead. So until next time, have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.